We're going to start with just some basic sun salutations. It's one of those simple things that sometimes get left behind when we do our practice, but they're so simple and so meaningful. The first one we'll do is sun salutation A, and I'm going to talk you through it really slowly at first so we can really feel all the different things that are going on in the body. So on the inhale, raise your arms up. The gaze can be up at the hands here. On the exhale, bring your hands through heart center as you fold forward and bring your hands onto the mat. Now, if you like, you can use a block here as well. Focus on releasing through the lower back, softening through the knees. Come back to that awareness of the feet. And allow the top of the head, the crown of the head, just to drop down and maybe even shake it a little bit. Just one way and then the other way. And then we're going to inhale to look up at the horizon with a nice flat back. Notice the stretch in the hamstrings here. Notice the effort that's required to maintain this posture. And then on the exhale, bend the knees quite a bit, plant the hands down, and we'll step back with the right foot and then the left foot. Now we're going to stay in this plank for a minute as we talk through the different sensations. If you want, you can bend your knees and put them down on the floor. If you're up in the full plank, see if you can press forward on the mat with your hands and stretch into the heel cords. Notice what that feels like in the backs of the legs. Notice how the quadriceps are now really firing up. Give you that stability. Notice if your pelvis wants to dip or if it wants to lift really high. Come back to where you're balanced right over the wrists and see what the hands feel like. What does it feel like to balance and ground through the hands? All of the parts of the hand. And then drop the knees down, lower the chest down, coming down to put belly on floor. Flip your toes under so the tops of the feet are resting on the mat. Take your hands so that they're even about with your rib cage right past your shoulders. So a little bit closer to your feet than your shoulders. Elbows are hugging together, shoulder blades hugging together. Press down through the feet as you inhale to come up for a gentle cobra. On the exhale, we'll come back down. Let's try that a couple of times, really feeling that the feet are anchors. The pubic bone is an anchor as you come up on the inhale and exhale, come back down. So we're going to come up one more time into our cobra, really hugging the rib cage with those elbows. Press for the hands even harder. Come back up onto hands and knees. Tuck the toes under. Keep your hips moving back. And then lift the hips up towards the ceiling, coming into your first downward facing dog. From your down dog, start to notice what your knees are doing, what your feet are doing. Maybe even bicycling your legs just a little bit. Pushing one heel down, then the other heel. Start to notice different sensations. Maybe you want to take your legs just a little bit wider on the mat. Maybe that would feel really good. Come into awareness of your arms now. Planting down through the thumb and the forefinger. Pushing forward on the mat. It's going to lift your hips up and allow your chest to sort of drop down between the shoulders. And the breath is always there. So tune into that. Notice if it's changing. Notice the effort. Notice the ease. And then we'll inhale up onto the balls of the feet. Take as many steps as you need to come closer to the hands. Now we're in that forward fold again. So see where your hands comfortably will rest. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. Allow the head to drop down. And then we're going to go ahead and roll up the spine as we come all the way back up. And the hands are going to lift up over the head. And then we'll come back to our standing posture. You can bring your hands down by your side and get ready for the next sun salutation. Now, with the feet are going to be hip distance apart. Remember, that's about big enough to put a couple of fists between your feet. So if you look down at your feet, they don't need to be really wide. And in some forms of yoga, they actually have the toes touching and the heels apart. So find that place where you feel comfortable, and we'll inhale the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Bring your hands down to touch the mat. Maybe your hands are on your calves here. Maybe they're on your knees. We're going to inhale to look up with a flat back. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees a lot. Step back with one foot, then the other. Back into your plank. Drop the knees. Lower down. Elbows hug the rib cage. Inhale up into a cobra. Exhale through tabletop. Tuck the toes and lift up into down dog. And we'll go 5 breaths here. Bicycling your legs. Noticing the energy in your hands, traveling up your arms, lifting your hips even higher. Finding that line of energy flowing down the backs of the legs, bringing the heels down towards the mat. Heels aren't at the mat, that's fine. It's just an energetic pull. Take one more breath here. And then we'll inhale up onto the balls of the feet. On the exhale, travel towards the hands. Come into our posture with our feet hip distance apart or toes together, heels apart. Inhale to find a flat back. Exhale and fold. And then we'll inhale all the way up, reaching those hands up, find a little bit of a back bend here. And exhale, hands to heart center and down by the side. So we're going to go one more time, this time really flowing with the breath. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, fold forward. Touch the earth. Inhale, lift up, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands, step back. This time lowering down through chaturanga. Inhale for an up dog. And exhale, rolling over the toes if that's available, and coming into your down dog. And 5 breaths here. Down dog's our opportunity to sort of rest after all the movement. Also really just to tune into sensations and tune into just breath. Tune into those parts of our bodies that we don't pay attention to. Let's take one more breath here. And then on the next inhale, up on the toes, look forward, step towards your hands. Come up into a flat back. Exhale and fold. And then inhale all the way up. Find a little bit of a back bend. Arms through heart center. And then down by your side. So we'll do Surya Namaskar B. We're going to bring the feet, again, about hip distance apart. We're going to start to sit back as if we're sitting back in a chair and inhale the arms up. So come into our chair pose here. Notice the weight distribution on your feet. Notice the tendency for your knees to come in and touch each other. Notice the line between the hips all the way up through the spine to your hands, fingertips reaching towards the ceiling. Take one more breath here. And then on the exhale, we're going to fold forward, straighten the legs, and come to put our hands on the earth. Again, allowing the head to drop down, allowing that nice stretch through the lower back. Maybe the knees are bent just a little bit to make this a little bit more attainable, I guess is the word, so that you can really get into all the different sensations without fighting. So soften the knees whenever necessary. Inhale to look up with a flat back. Exhale, plant the hands. We're coming back into our plank pose. Now, always an option to drop the knees down, but if you're coming into an up dog, drop down through chaturanga, flip the feet, and come up into your up dog. Then rolling over your toes, you come into your down dog. Now look back at your left foot and put it at about 45 degrees off to the left. You're going to step through with your right foot, coming up into a warrior one. There's a lot of things going on here in your warrior one. So we're going to start with your left foot, really planting through that left heel, the outer part of the left heel, and then a little bit of grounding through that left big toe. There is a rooting through the outside of the left foot. Meanwhile, the hips are trying to square towards the front, towards the short end of the mat. So there's a little bit of a spinning of the pelvis towards the front. And in between there is the knee. So be really aware of the knee in this position, because we don't want to have undue twisting to it. So really engaging the quadriceps, feeling all that integration through that left leg, the grounding through the feet lifts up the arms even more. Take one more breath in here. On the exhale, hands come down to frame that right foot. Right foot's going to step back to join the left. And we're going to go down either with the knees down or through chaturanga. I'm going to lower my knees this time, lower down my chest, flip the feet so I'm coming up into a cobra, and then exhale, flip the feet back, and come up into down dog. So now we'll do the same thing on the other side, turning the right foot to about 45 degrees, and we'll step forward with the left. So first, find that groundedness through the right heel, through the lateral border of the right foot. That's going to sort of lift up the arch on the right foot, but notice that that right toe mound is still very grounded, very planted into the earth. The pelvis is going to swing a little bit towards the front of the mat, and the quadriceps on that right leg is going to be really engaged. We're going to inhale those arms up. So notice the energy required to stay in this posture, feeling strong like a warrior, yet grounded through your base. As you reach up and root down. Take one more breath here. On the exhale, we'll come down, hands frame the left foot steps back. You can lower the knees or you can drop down through chaturanga. So chaturanga, you bend the elbows, come up into your upward facing dog, and then roll over the toes into your downward facing dog. And here's your rest position. Be careful not just to hang out here, but this is your position to breathe and notice all the different things going on in your body. So rooting down through the forefinger and the thumbs, pressing forward on the mat with those hands, that openness in the shoulders helps to lift the hips up even higher. And then the energy traveling down the backs of the legs so the heels are rooted. And in between all of that energy and awareness is the breath. Come back to awareness of the breath. We'll take one more breath here. Then we'll lift up on the toes, travel towards the top of the mat. Come up with a flat back. Exhale and fold. Head comes down towards the earth. Bend your knees. Coming into a chair pose. Lift the arms up. And then exhale as we straighten the legs. Arms to heart center and down by your side. So come back to the breath awareness here as we stand. Stand tall, just like we did at the beginning of class, really rooting down through the feet, lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, chin level. So we'll come back and we'll do one more sun salutation B, but this time we're going to go a little bit faster. So we're going to inhale the arms up, come back into your chair. Exhale, fold forward, hands touch the earth. Inhale to look up with a flat back. Exhale, step back into your plank. Lower down through chaturanga, bending the knees if you like. Come up into your up dog and then into your down dog. Turn the left foot to 45 degrees. Step forward with the right foot. Inhale the arms up. Feel strong, feel integrated, feel rooted. On the exhale, hands come down, we step back and lower down. Inhale to find an up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot turns to 45, left foot forward. Inhale, we come up. Exhale, hands come down. Lowering down, we exhale, we inhale. And then here, if you'd like, you come into down dog or come into child's pose for a couple of breaths. So child's pose is always an option. It's always a good time to just reconnect with breath, reconnect with all the different sensations in your body. So stay here as long as you need to. If you're following along with the class, then go ahead and tuck your toes under and lift into down dog again. We'll inhale up onto the balls of the feet. Exhale, travel forward towards the hands. Inhale with a flat back. Exhale and fold. And then inhale, bend the knees, coming up into our chair pose. Exhale, hands to heart and hands by the side. So good. Let's just take a couple of more little twisty movements here. Just kind of let the arms dangle, shake them out just a little bit. Just notice that movement. Not a lot of control here. All the sun salutations are very controlled movements. So we're going to take a sun B, but we're going to modify it now. So start in your mountain pose, your Tadasana, rooting through your feet, bringing that energy up through the crown of the head, fingertips coming down towards the earth, nice and strong. And then bend in the knees like you're sitting back into a chair. Lift the arms up on the inhale. Exhale, we fold forward. Hands come to touch the earth. Inhale with a flat back. Exhale, plant the hands. We'll come back into our plank. And either dropping the knees or lowering down through chaturanga. Inhale for a cobra or an up dog. Exhale. Tuck the toes, lift into your downward facing dog. Left foot turns to 45 degrees, right foot steps forward. Warrior one on the inhale. On the exhale, we'll open into a warrior two. So go ahead and look down at your feet. In warrior one, we have our feet more on railroad tracks. So there's a little bit of distance between them. In warrior two, we want to be more in alignment. So the heel on the front foot could bisect the arch on the left foot, on the back foot. The arms are reaching forward and reaching back. So go ahead and take your palms and turn them up and see if you can sort of pull the shoulder blades down into each other and hold that as you turn the hands back down. The gaze is over the middle finger of the right hand here. And we'll breathe in and breathe out. Now we're going to drop that left hand. We're going to lift the right arm up for a peaceful warrior. So notice how this stretch feels in the side of the body. Notice if you feel that energy from the right big toe all the way to the right fingertips. Take one more breath here. And then we're going to start to straighten out that right leg. Reach forward with the right arm. Come down with the right hand to find the calf. And then once you find that nice anchor, lift the left arm up, triangle pose. Now in triangle, there's several things that are going on that you need to pay attention to. One of them is that big toe mound on the front foot is pressing down. And that's going to protect your adductor muscles. It's going to really engage them and allow them to lengthen without overstretching. The gaze is up at the left hand, those fingertips reaching up towards the ceiling. And the left foot is turned in just slightly, but there's a lot of grounding through that left heel. So the left hip muscles are working very hard. Take one more breath here. Look down at your right foot. Come up, back into your warrior two. Start to feel the ease in that right groin area after that triangle pose. We're going to inhale back into your peaceful warrior, reaching those fingertips up, gaze is up at the hand, and then exhale, bring your right forearm down to your right thigh, and really gently pressing down with that right arm. You're going to swing the left arm up by the ear, and the gaze can be up at the armpit, or you can take your eyes and lift them up towards that left hand. So notice the effort that's going on in your legs here. Take a breath in, take a breath out. Take one more. And then we'll look down at your right foot. You'll come back into your warrior two. And then take both feet, make them parallel with the short sides of the mat. We'll take your hands onto your hips and really pull those shoulder blades back together, almost so that if I were looking at you from the front, I would not even be able to see your elbows. On the exhale, we're going to try to fold forward, keeping those elbows pulled nice and back. Once you get to the point where your legs are at the end of their range, place your hands down onto the mat. And this is a nice place for a block. But go ahead and let your head drop down and come into breath awareness. Breathing in and breathing out. Maybe bending your knees just a little bit if that feels better. Focus on breath. Focus on all the sensations that you feel here. And then we'll walk your hands over to the left side. If it's available, grab your left foot with your right hand. Take your left hand up to the pelvis and start to rotate just a little bit to the left. Breathing in and breathing out. And then we'll come back down with your hands to the mat. Walk them over to the right foot. Left hand grabs the right foot. Right hand to the pelvis. And start to rotate and lift. Right arm up towards the ceiling. Left hand grabbing the right foot or the right ankle. And there can be a pushing down on the left to lift up on the right. Breathe in and breathe out. And then walking the hands back to center, just for a breath here. And then we'll walk both hands over to the right foot as the right foot spins. And we come down with that left knee. Bring the right knee back to join the left and come into our child's pose. So coming down to rest. The combination of moving from energetic poses to restful poses is part of the magic of yoga. When we can feel supported and strong and courageous in the upright poses, and yet feel supported and grounded and safe in our more restful poses. That combination and that ability to move back and forth creates resiliency in our bodies. So take one more breath here. And then we're going to come back into our downward facing dog, lifting up the hips, keeping the shoulders nice and open. And then we'll walk towards the hands. Inhale with a flat back. Exhale and fold. And bend the knees, come up into your chair pose. And then inhale to straighten the legs, arms come up towards the ceiling, and bring them back down towards your side. All right, so now we're going to do that same thing to the other side. So we'll chair pose up with the arms. Exhale, fold forward, plant the hands. Inhale, look up, flat back. Exhale, step back into your plank. Dropping the knees or lowering down through chaturanga. We'll inhale for your back bend and exhale, downward facing dog. Now take your right foot, turn it to 45 degrees, step forward with the left. Inhale up into your warrior one. Exhale into your warrior two. So now noticing everything we did on the other side, that strong integration through both feet, starting with that back foot, pressing down through the outside border and through the big toe mount to really make a nice strong arch, making sure that your hip muscles are working to kind of push your foot down into the floor. And coming into awareness of the front leg. Arms can be turned up to find where the shoulder blades sort of lock in. And then turn the hands over. And find the breath. Breath moves in, breath moves out. And then drop the right hand down, flip the left hand. Reach and lift through our peaceful warrior. Again, there's a nice pressure down with that left foot to lift the left fingertips even higher. Meanwhile, the right fingers are reaching towards the heel. The right hip is staying nice and engaged. Breathe in, breathe out. Take one more breath here, and then we'll straighten out that left leg. Bring your arms to a T and reach forward. And here's where pressing through that big toe mound on the left is super important. And then bring the left hand down to the calf, maybe to a block, and then lift the right arm up. So here we've got a really nice strong pressure down through the left hand to lift the right fingertips, and the right hand, the gaze can be up at that right hand. It can also be down at the left foot. So see what feels comfortable to your body. Take one more breath here. And then we'll inhale, come back up into our warrior two and back into our peaceful warrior. So second time through our peaceful warrior, see if you notice something a little bit different. One more breath here. And then on the exhale, left arm comes down to the left thigh and swing that right arm down so that it comes up towards your ear into our side angle. And we'll breathe in and breathe out. Noticing that there's a nice line between that right heel and the fingertips on the right. Meanwhile, that left arm is pushing down into the left thigh to keep the base nice and supported. Take one more breath here. Then we'll look down at the mat to come back up. This time I'm going to turn my back to you. We're going into a goddess pose. So turn your feet out to about 30 or 45 degrees. Arms come back up to those gold posts. And then on the exhale, we're bending the knees and bringing the arms down. Good. So we'll inhale, coming up into a Y with our arms. And then on the exhale, gently squeezing pelvic floor as we come down into our goddess. Inhale to reach. Exhale, squeeze pelvic floor, come down. We'll go two more times, reaching and lifting. Exhale, squeezing and lowering. One more time, inhale. And exhale. So coming back up, arms are going to come to a T. We're going to side bend over to the left, raising up that right arm. Your gaze can be down at your feet, can be up at your armpit. Feel the length through the right side of the body. And then we'll come back with the right hand against the right side. And we side bend over to the right, lifting up those left fingertips. Gaze can be down at the right foot, can be up at the left fingertips. And then we're going to turn all the way around, back into our lunge. Facing the top of the mat, come into our tabletop position. So coming into tabletop, we're going to notice that the wrist creases are pretty much parallel with the short end of the mat. The tops of the feet are going to be down. There's a little bit of an anterior tilt in the pelvis. So we're going to play around with that position a little bit in our cat and cow. So allow the belly to hang even more. Allow the tailbone to come up towards the ceiling.